Imagine yourself in ancient Athens, a city filled with wisdom, art, and political intrigue. It was in this vibrant and bustling city that one of the most famous philosophers in history faced a tragic end. Socrates, a man whose name is synonymous with wisdom and critical thinking, was put on trial and sentenced to death for challenging the status quo. His trial and death have become a timeless tale filled with betrayal, drama, and the search for truth. But what led to this monumental event in the life of such an influential figure? In this video, we'll delve into the life and teachings of Socrates, explore the political and social context of Athens at the time, and uncover the events that led to his trial and eventual death. By understanding the circumstances surrounding the trial and death of Socrates, we can gain a deeper appreciation for his philosophical legacy and his influence on the course of human thought. Socrates was a philosopher and teacher, best known for his Socratic Method, a technique for stimulating critical thinking and revealing deeper truths through a series of probing questions. His teachings have had a lasting impact on Western philosophy and have inspired countless thinkers throughout history. Join us as we journey through the life and times of Socrates, discovering the political tensions that shaped his world, the charges that were brought against him, the dramatic trial that ensued, and the poignant moments leading up to his death. Before we delve into the events leading up to Socrates' trial and death, it's important to understand who Socrates was and why his ideas were so influential in ancient Greece and beyond. Socrates was born in Athens around 470 BCE and is considered one of the founding figures of Western philosophy. Socrates was known for his unique approach to teaching and learning. He believed in the power of dialogue and questioning as a way to uncover truth and wisdom. Unlike other philosophers of his time, Socrates did not write down his teachings. Instead, he engaged in discussions with the citizens of Athens, challenging their beliefs and urging them to think more critically. This method of questioning and dialogue became known as the Socratic Method. By asking a series of probing questions, Socrates would guide his conversation partners to explore their own beliefs, expose contradictions, and ultimately arrive at a deeper understanding of the subject at hand. Since Socrates never wrote down his teachings, much of what we know about him comes from the works of his students, primarily Plato and Xenophon, and from the playwright Aristophanes, who often satirized Socrates in his comedies. Socrates' influence on Western philosophy cannot be overstated. His teachings formed the basis of Plato's work, who went on to establish the Academy in Athens and educate Aristotle, another towering figure in philosophy. The ideas and methods that originated with Socrates have continued to shape philosophical thought for centuries. Now that we have a better understanding of Socrates as a philosopher and teacher, let's explore the political and social context of Athens during his lifetime. This backdrop played a significant role in the events leading up to his trial and death. To comprehend the circumstances that led to Socrates' trial and death, we need to examine the political and social context of Athens during his lifetime. Athens was a thriving city-state, known for its democratic principles and cultural achievements in art, literature, and philosophy. Athenian democracy was unique for its time. It was a direct democracy, where citizens had the opportunity to participate in decision-making processes by attending the assembly and voting on important issues. This system of governance was highly valued and cherished by the Athenians. The political landscape of Athens was heavily influenced by the Peloponnesian War, a conflict that spanned nearly 3 decades, from 431 to 404 BCE. This devastating war pitted Athens against Sparta and their respective allies, ultimately resulting in the defeat of Athens and a significant loss of power and prestige. The war took a heavy toll on Athenian society, causing widespread suffering and economic hardship. The city was grappling with the consequences of defeat, and there was a growing divide between traditionalists, who longed for the return of the golden age of Athens, and progressives, who sought new ways to rebuild and revitalize the city. This tension between traditionalists and progressives set the stage for Socrates' trial. His unconventional teachings and relentless questioning of established beliefs would ultimately put him at odds with both the political establishment and the broader Athenian society. With this understanding of the political and social context of Athens, we can now delve into the specific charges brought against Socrates and the events that led to his fateful trial. In 399 BC, Socrates was brought to trial, accused of crimes that were seen as a threat to the fabric of Athenian society. The charges against Socrates were twofold: corrupting the youth and impiety, or disrespecting the gods of the city. The first charge, corrupting the youth, stemmed from Socrates' habit of engaging in thought-provoking discussions with young Athenians. His critics believed that his unorthodox teachings and relentless questioning undermined the traditional values and beliefs that formed the basis of Athenian society. The second charge, impiety, was linked to Socrates' questioning of the established religious beliefs of Athens. Although Socrates often spoke of his belief in a higher power, he questioned the existence and nature of the traditional gods, which was seen as a direct challenge to the religious foundation of the city. The charges against Socrates were brought forth by three accusers: Meletus, a young poet; Anytus, a powerful and influential politician; and Lycon, an orator. Each of these men had their own reasons for wanting to bring Socrates to trial, but they were united in their belief that Socrates posed a threat to the stability and well-being of Athens. With the charges laid out and his accusers ready to argue their case, Socrates was brought before an Athenian court to face trial. The stage was set for one of the most dramatic and memorable trials in the history of Western civilization. In the Athenian court, Socrates faced a jury of 501 citizens, as was customary in ancient Athens. The trial began with the accusers presenting their case against Socrates, detailing the charges of corrupting the youth and impiety. Socrates, known for his eloquence and wit, took the stand to defend himself against the accusations. Instead of offering a conventional defense, he used his signature Socratic method to question his accusers and expose the contradictions in their arguments. Socrates argued that he was not corrupting the youth but rather encouraging them to think critically and challenge conventional wisdom. He also asserted that he believed in the divine but sought to question the nature and existence of the gods in order to better understand them. After both sides had presented their arguments, the jury retired to deliberate on Socrates' fate. In a closely divided vote, the jury found Socrates guilty of the charges, sealing his fate. As was the custom in Athenian trials, the convicted defendant had the opportunity to propose an alternative punishment. Socrates, in his typical unorthodox fashion, suggested that he should be rewarded with free meals for life for his contributions to society. This proposal was met with disapproval from the jury. With the guilty verdict reached and the alternative punishment rejected, the court moved to the final phase of the trial, sentencing. The stage was set for the dramatic conclusion of the trial of Socrates. After finding Socrates guilty and rejecting his proposal for an alternative punishment, the jury sentenced him to death. The chosen method of execution was drinking a cup of poison hemlock, a potent and deadly toxin. While awaiting his execution in prison, Socrates received visits from his friends and disciples, who engaged in heartfelt conversations and sought wisdom from their beloved teacher. Despite their grief and despair, Socrates remained composed and resolute, preparing himself for the inevitable end. As the time of his execution drew near, Socrates gathered his friends and disciples around him for a final farewell. He spoke of the nature of death and the immortality of the soul, comforting those who were mourning and demonstrating his unwavering commitment to the pursuit of wisdom and truth. In his final moments, Socrates calmly drank the poison hemlock as his friends and disciples watched in sorrow. He faced his death with dignity and courage, leaving behind a legacy that would reverberate throughout history. The trial and death of Socrates have become a powerful symbol of the pursuit of truth in the face of adversity. His story has inspired countless philosophers, thinkers, and artists, reminding us of the importance of questioning our beliefs, seeking wisdom, and standing up for our convictions. As we reflect on the life and death of Socrates, let us remember the immense impact he has had on the course of human thought and the lessons we can learn from his unwavering dedication to truth and wisdom. Throughout this video, we've journeyed through the life and times of Socrates, exploring his philosophical teachings, the political and social context of Athens, and the dramatic events surrounding his trial and death. Socrates remains an enduring symbol of wisdom and critical thinking, his story reminding us of the importance of questioning our beliefs, seeking truth, and standing up for our convictions, even in the face of adversity. His influence on Western philosophy and thought cannot be overstated, with his teachings shaping the works of great philosophers like Plato and Aristotle, and continuing to inspire thinkers and seekers of wisdom to this day. As we conclude our exploration of the trial and death of Socrates, we encourage you to carry forward his legacy by engaging in critical thinking, asking questions, and pursuing a deeper understanding of the world around you. Thank you for joining us on this intellectual adventure. We hope that you've enjoyed this journey into the life and times of one of history's greatest philosophers, and that his story has inspired you to seek wisdom and truth in your own life.